Fractal Design just made a case in 2022 with front-loading optical bays. Yes, bays for your CD drive. And somehow they managed to make it make sense. This is the Fractal Pop Mini, and it's a MATX budget, high airflow optimized PC case. And if you know anything about the Southeast Asia market, you know that this case is kind of perfect for it because Southeast Asian purchasers and consumers love MATX cases, we love cheap cases, and we love high airflow cases because we live in really hot climates. So, is this worth it? Should you get it? Well, we're gonna answer that question right now. Let's start with the design, and the Fractal Mini Pop Air looks really quite nice. It looks kind of like another NZXT case. I can't remember the name of the NZXT case exactly, but it looks very similar to a lot of its competition. But it does have a lot of nice details here and there that definitely help it stand out. For one, it has Fractal Design's iconic build quality, and its build quality is definitely better than a lot of its competitors in its price range. The panel alignment, the gaps are just darn near perfect, which is really impressive for a more budget-oriented case. The materials feel extremely rigid and extremely good. In fact, the materials on this feel better than on the Corsair 4000D, which is a more premium case than this. So honestly, very well done here with Fractal Design's kind of build quality. On top of that, they have Fractal Design's little kind of design details that they tend to put in their PC cases, like the triangle grills, fan grills, which I think looks very nice. And also the fact that the front mesh has like a texture on it, like on the Fractal Design Mesh FIC that a lot of people absolutely love. Now, there are a couple of things with this design that you might not like. For example, its fan support is rather limited. It only supports 520mm fans, and if you go with a 140mm fan in the front or the top, where there can be two 120mm fans usually, then you can only put one 140mm fan there. Fortunately though, if you need 240mm radiators support, it supports those radiators on both the top and the front, so you have plenty of freedom to decide where you want to put your rads, though there is no 280 or 360 radiator or fan support here, so just be aware of that. But the reason that there's so limited fan support in the front of the case is actually because the bottom 1/3 of the case is not only the power supply shroud, but also where the very antiquated feature that I have not seen since 2014 lies. Behind this magnetic cover is a optical drive bay. Yes, a bay for your CD reader to go. Problem is, no one uses a CD reader in 2022, and Fractal Design knows that. So what did they do? They gave you this. This is a little storage compartment so that you have a little hidden secret cubby hole in the front of your PC case to hide things really easily if you don't need a CD reader. And that is absolutely brilliant. Now, of course, you could mount hard drives in the CD reader area, the optical drive bay, and this case can support 2 hard drives and 6 2.5-inch SSDs, so plenty of storage areas. But considering most people don't even use hard drives these days, this is a genius solution, and I think that it just makes perfect sense. Most PC cases can be considered pieces of furniture. They take up so much space, so it just would make sense if my PC case had a little bit of storage as well. And since there's so many things that I need in close proximity to my PC, like adapters, SD cards, thumb drives, all the time, but I don't want it lying around because it might get lost or just look unkempt and messy, having a little hidden storage compartment is just so smart to put in a PC. It's also a convenient place to hide things that you don't want people to see when they come to your room. I'm sure you know what it is. Either way though, it is a very smart thing to add into this PC case, and some people might prefer having another 120mm fan mount at the bottom of this case instead of having this little hidden cubby hole. I think having this cubby hole, this optical drive bay here, actually makes this case a lot more versatile, a lot more unique of a product than its competitors that might have more fan support, which you might prefer, so go with those cases. But I prefer this solution. I prefer this. I think this is very smart, very cheeky, and makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. Also, speaking of fan support, there are fan filters. Obviously, there's the mesh front for the front fans, but the top also comes with a magnetic fan filter, so you don't have to worry about dust falling into your case. You can keep things clean and nice. Now, building in this case is super duper easy. It's pretty spacious for an MATX case, and cable management is definitely plentiful and very easy to do. It comes with plenty of zip ties, twist ties to build with, and the cables are all kind of in a practical area, and it just makes sense. It's a standard layout. I have no complaints with it at all. The only issue I have with this design really is that the power supply shroud is only accessible from the back, and I tend to don't really like these designs because it means less space to move and adjust things. I prefer a power supply shroud that's accessible from both sides for easier cable management and easier mounting of things like hard drives and SSDs. And yes, it does have plenty of SSD mounts on the back of the motherboard tray as well as in the power supply shroud if you're worried about that. Unfortunately though, for cable management, it does not have rubber grommets to hide cables or hold the cables in place, which is a bit of a bummer, but even the Corsair 4000D doesn't have that, so to be fair, I'm not going to be too harsh on it for not having rubber grommets. So this is the Fractal Pop Mini Mini, but there's also a full-size Fractal Pop that supports up to an ATX motherboard. This one supports M-ATX, as I've said. There's also a Pop XL that's coming that supports up to an eATX motherboard for really like big PC builds. Though, frankly, I don't really know that many people in Southeast Asia that will be building a PC that big. Another thing to note about this case is that it does have a cutout for airflow for the power supply shroud. So if you want to mount your power supply with the fan side up, you actually have space for air to pass through. So you can use your power supply as another exhaust fan to hot gases from inside the PC case out and exhaust it out back. Though it might be stealing some of the airflow for your GPU, so make sure you experiment to get the best cooling. Speaking of GPU, you can mount 2 double slot GPUs, though SLI is dead, and you can mount a fat triple slot GPU in here, no problem. It's just that you can't mount it in the bottom slot because it only has a total of 4 GPU slots. Thankfully though, there is a vertical GPU bracket option that you can get as an optional accessory if you want vertical GPU mounting. In terms of front I/O, it's pretty okay. It's got a headphone and mic jack as well as a power button and RGB fan control, so you can plug in the RGB plug into the RGB hub in this case and control RGB through that, though these fans are actually compatible with any RGB software under the sun, so you don't have to worry too much. And it also has 2 USB Type-A 3.0 ports. These are 3.05 gigabit per second, so your standard USB 3 ports, and it unfortunately does not have USB-C included as one of its front I/O. I think it should be included by default instead of being an optional accessory that you screw on and have to install yourself, but I guess cost savings had to be done for a more budget-oriented case. I just wish USB-C was on by default. I just think in 2022, all cases should have USB-C on the front I/O. It's very important, very useful. But what is included, thankfully, is RGB fans. You got 2 intakes on the front and 1 in the back. These are Fractal Design's Aspect 12 fans. They're RGB, they look gorgeous, they work very well, and they move plenty of air with RGB support. Another thing interesting about these fans is that they do support daisy chaining, so you can just use them off one Molex power source instead of having to worry about having enough fan ports on your motherboard. So if you're using a budget M-ATX motherboard, which Fractal Design is thinking you probably might because M-ATX ports tend to be the budget options, you probably might not have enough fan ports for, say, a water cooling pump as well as multiple fans, like 5 fans that this case supports. So buying Fractal Design's Aspect 12 fans to match the rest of the fans that are included with this rig actually makes a lot of sense because that daisy chaining feature means you don't have to worry about not having enough ports to power your fans. Awesome. In conclusion then, should you buy the Fractal Design Pop Mini? Well, the answer for me is definitely yes, if it's the right price. I have no idea about the pricing for this case in Southeast Asia, the region it's most likely to be popular in because it's M-ATX. But if it's going for a right price, it's definitely a very interesting choice. The front secret compartment cubby hole is something that I absolutely love as a feature on this case. The build quality is extremely premium for a more budget-oriented case. No, I don't think it would be all that cheap, but it is a very competitive case with a lot of unique charm to it, a lot of unique features that definitely help it stand out. And I absolutely adore the panel alignment and build quality that Fractal Design has put here and done here once again. They are so good at good build quality that I just can't help but appreciate it. It's a very, very competitive case and definitely a very interesting option. Is it the best option in its price range? If you're looking at specs, probably not. But if you like what makes this case special, then definitely do shortlist it and consider it because it is a very interesting and very quality option. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. All love to you if you watched this point in this video, and comment "Pop goes the weasel" so I know you did. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Questions in the comments or in the Discord. Bye.